This is the High-Stakes Lowdown, a RotoViz podcast brought to you by the Fantasy Football Players Championship. I'm Eric Balkman from the High-Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, the Better Sports Network, and the FFPC. You can connect with me on X at Eric Balkman and the FFPC on X at FFPC. Before we get into the show, I want to remind everyone that you can get a listeners-only 10% discount to RotoViz by using the code RVRadio2025. That's RV Radio 2025. Your subscription gives you unlimited access to all of the RotoViz content and tools, and it supports the podcast channel as well. Now, without further ado, here's the latest episode of the RotoViz High-Stakes Lowdown. Happy Tuesday night, everybody. Welcome into the latest episode of the RotoViz High-Stakes Lowdown. My name is Eric Balkman. So glad to be joining you tonight, talking some fantasy football ahead of the championship round sprint in both the FFPC Main Event and, of course, the FFPC Big Gorilla Tournament as well. Want to remind you up at the top of the show, if you are looking for some weekly action, don't forget the weekly challenge is live, both the Thursday and Sunday version at myffpc.com. There's no draft. There's no salary cap. You're just picking 10 players or 12 players if you want to roll with kickers and defenses, one player per NFL team. So if you want Bijan Robinson, you can't have Kyle Pitts. If you want Josh Allen, you can't have James Cook. Win up to $2,500, 10, 30, and 100 team contests, all available at myffpc.com. Also want to remind you, in case you missed our announcement on Monday, we have the FFPC World Famous Playoff Challenge live, as well as the $35 Playoff Challenge in addition to that. Basically the same format as the weekly challenge. You're picking one player per NFL playoff team. Obviously, you're going to be fading two teams. If you want to enter for the $35 challenge, $35 to enter, you can win $100,000. If you want to enter the $200 version, that is a world famous one, and a $500,000 grand prize awaits you there. myffpc.com. myffpc.com is where to go for that. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, and get notified each and every time we go live. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring in my guests tonight. You know them from their appearance on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour a little over 5 years or so ago. They have a main event title to their name, and they currently sit in the top 60, I think 52nd overall, if memory serves me correctly, in the FFPC main event, heading into the championship round. A contest that is going to dole out a $1 million grand prize. Please welcome back on the FFPC airwaves, Mr. Alan Martirossian and Mr. Chris Ondrus. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hey, good evening.
Good evening. And hello, Eric.
I remember, Alan, I'll throw this to you. I remember 5 years ago, about halfway through the regular season, I think you guys were leading the FPC, right?
Yeah, we were the top team. I think we had Kamara and Aaron Jones rolling as our top running backs. And yeah, we were rolling through maybe 8 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's right around where it was. So when you think back to then, being a top everybody, how does this compare being just right outside the top 50, knowing that, the team that won this last year was in like 400 or 800th place or whatever it was heading in the championship round. You guys are 52nd. This has got to be a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, it feels a little better just because we've been a little bit more steady.
Yeah,
we peaked really early, I feel like, last time, and then we really fell off.
Yeah, we did. Cliff.
Whereas this time it's sort of been a steady.
Was there, Chris, what do you remember? Did injuries derail you, or was it just bad performances, or what was it?
Well, I did recall. I mean, I think as Alan was saying, we hit a peak performance. I mean, we really hit high. We every week we had the best running back. We had the best quarterback with the most points. We had the best running back, and then at one point, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable when you're hitting all those points. And eventually, it's just, well, we weren't the best quarterback, and then we didn't have the best running back, and then we didn't have the best wide receiver, and it just slowly tallied down. I think right now we're at a good spot because, we're not peaking too high. We're kind of at a good spot where. Everyone, people are still scoring, which is great, and I think our team is going to do very well. But we're not at a point where they're going crazy right now.
Right.
And when that happens, and then you hit a tough team, a tough defensive team, and then they go down from there, and they just don't peak. So I think we're at the right time where I think we're peaking at the best time.
Eric, funny story last time. I don't know if we shared this with you, but last time our quarterback was auto-drafted for us. Yeah. In the 8th round, we're going back and forth. We can't decide, and Kyler Murray gets auto-drafted for us. And I think Kyler Murray had a great start to that season. I don't think he finished as well.
But that was part of the reason that got you to where you were at that point. Okay, so this is like, and I have your team in front of me. I think people are going to be really surprised when they hear who's on your team. I want to lead things off with you, Alan. Right now, you have Drake May in at quarterback for your 52nd overall main event team over Jacoby Brissett, who has been so electric, right? I mean, basically since he's taken over for the aforementioned Kyler Murray, I mean, this guy has been crushing it. 261, 258, 452, 317, 301, 271 passing yards. His worst performance was 258 passing yards. He had one out of those last 6 games, one of them had fewer than 2 touchdowns, right? Tough defense this week, Alan. Is how difficult of a decision is this when you talk about playing Brissett against the tough defense versus Drake May, who's coming off the bye week and taking on the Buffalo Bills? Is it open and shut? Is this something that you guys hemmed and hawed about? What's the sweat like on this quarterback decision this week?
Yeah, I don't think it's open and shut. The Houston defense makes it really tough. I mean, they showed last week they made Mahomes look like the worst quarterback in the league. So, and I know Brissett's been 20-plus points every week he's played. But, man, playing against that Houston defense, it'll be tough to start him. Now, May is playing against not too shabby of a pass defense in Buffalo. And I think he might have had one of his worst games of the year against Buffalo, maybe like 14, 15 points. So I don't think it's open and shut, but May is definitely the lean, I would say.
Back in week 5, when they were in Orchard Park, the Patriots, 273 passing yards for May, which was good. He didn't throw any touchdowns, only had 12 yards rushing in that game. And to your point, Alan, 14.85 points that game. That was his lowest total of the entire season thus far. So that's something that you guys will be deciding and talking over here. I got to tell you, Chris, I looked over your roster and I had to rub my eyes a little bit. I'm like, am I seeing this right? The running backs on this squad for you guys, Jahmyr Gibbs, Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne, Quinshon Judkins, Jaylen Warren, and then just for extra spice, you also have Kyle Monangai on this team as well. When you think back over all the high-stakes teams that you and Alan have managed over the years, do you think this is the one that you are most loaded at running back? Is this the team that has the most not only dominant elite players with Williams and Gibbs, but the depth of it, where your number 6 running back is Kyle Monangai?
Yes, no, I totally agree. And I know Alan mentioned it when we first came on that, in 2020, we did have Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara, and we had James Robinson. So we had 3 of the top 10. Now look who we have. And with Gibbs, Javonte, Etienne, Warren, and Junkins. I mean, you're looking at those folks, you're like, oh, that's not a bad, that's an okay line. Especially when we first drafted, we're like, okay, that seems strong. Strong. But now looking at it, we have depth. We have huge depth. And one of our key players was Quinshon Judkins. I talked to my son and with Nick and Nico, they're like, pick him, but pick him late. Because if he gets drafted or he gets signed, he's going to be aura. He's going to be money. And he was. So that helped us getting those players, that help you get that depth. Like Monangai, he's doing really well with the DJ, Swift on the team. So they're kind of sharing, the splits, but they're getting points for us. We have a real good, strong lineup here. I think going into this next week, we got a good, solid group of football ballers that will just, I think, kick some major butt for us. And, we have a good problem to have. We have good players. If we're trying to get guys off waivers, we're not worried about that, which is a great position to be in. So I think we're in a good spot right now with all our running backs. And I'm so happy that, when Alan and I were drafting, we did really well. We weren't arguing. We were just one at a time. We're very systematic about what we did. And I think we really picked a good core group. Of course, as we go through this, it is a little lucky, with who you pick, but I think we really did well.
Yeah, and you need a little luck. I mean, nobody has
Yes.
ever won this thing without at least a little bit of luck. And certainly, luck has been on your guys' side so far this
Yes.
season. And Bill Hollywood has a question about Chuba Hubbard, Tony Pollard. We will get to that, I promise you. But I do want to talk about another tight end lineup decision you guys are facing, Alan. Right now, you have in Hunter Henry, the aforementioned New England Patriots taking on the Bills. You have Henry in there at tight end. Colby Parkinson is against the Lions this week. Now, the Rams have kind of gone away from using all that heavy tight end personnel that they were doing probably about a month or so ago. But Parkinson's still involved. And that total on that game, that Lions-Rams game, maybe the highest total I've seen in any NFL game this season. We're at 55.5 for that game. We know that Hunter Henry is a guy that has had his share of disappearing acts on a weekly basis over the course of this season. So, Alan, getting back to it here, should FFPC players be starting Parkinson over Henry, or vice versa? Is Henry the better start in Week 15?
I think this is the toughest decision we have this week. Buffalo's number one against the tight end. So Henry's going up against that. I think the first time they played, he put up maybe 7 or so points. And then Parkinson Lions aren't bad against the tight end. I think number 10 against the tight end. So it's not a great matchup, but a lot of points, like you said. So to me, I'm sort of 50-50 on this one. The only reason I lean Henry is because Henry's been there for us this year. And I also look at the sort of upside. I really like the connection, the quarterback tight end connection. If it hits, it hits big. So
the other thing too, and like you kind of touched on this, Alan, but the fact that you have May and Henry and you're chasing currently 51 other teams in front of you. I mean, this is a good way to really get a spike week if somehow May and Henry hook up for a couple of touchdowns, which again, I know you mentioned it. Buffalo really, really good against the tight end. You normally run on Buffalo. That's how you beat them. But lightning in a bottle, I don't even think it's that rare. I mean, with Henry and May, I think it's more of the fact of hey, this is a way that we can leapfrog a lot of other teams. We don't have Stafford, right? We have May, we have Henry, so I think there's that as well, which I'm sure you guys have talked to death about already.
Yeah, I think Parkinson's maybe the safe play here, and Henry's the more upside play.
Right, exactly. Chris, I talked to you about the running backs that you and Alan have assembled here. The wide receivers, I mean, this is another one too. It's such a good problem to have, but you feel bad when you make the bad lineup decisions, right? You have all these really talented running backs, but you're at least 4 deep at wide receiver, especially with the return of Terry McLaurin, the rise of Christian Watson, who are both on your bench right now, in favor of 2 of the most dominant receivers we've seen at the position all season long, Puka Nacua and George Pickens here. I got to imagine, Alan just said, like, tight end is probably the toughest decision you guys are going to make. It's sick that you have Jalen Warren, McLaurin, and Watson on your bench. This is just a crazy collection of talent that you guys have assembled this year. Were all these players drafted, or did you get any of them off waivers?
We got some of them off of, I think we got 1 or so off waivers. A lot of it was we drafted really solid. I mean, that's the key to this too, is drafting solid. And when you have those core players and drafting solid, and we're not getting on injuries. Granted, we did have Jalen Hurts or Jalen Daniels got injured. But mostly you've been very good. But in terms of the wide receivers that we've had, one of the things that Alan and I discuss is, we're always, we bet and we watch fantasy football and we play, every weekend. One of the things Alan likes to do is, hey Chris, I got a gut feeling about this. So I think we should probably do something. No. We are playing Puka and Pickens no matter what. But I don't know. Because of the lineup or because of the matchup or something. No. Do you see their numbers? We're going to play Puka and Pickens. It's a done deal. They're going to get us kick-ass points no matter what. Sorry, I didn't mean to curse. We're going to go with those 2 guys no matter what. All right. Because some of his gut feelings, he's done very, very well.
Yeah, we got a good thing going where Chris is looking for the analysis to test. But I'm just like, look, I feel it. I'm feeling this really happening.
It's his spider senses.
Yeah.
The acquisition off the waiver wire, I just checked. Christian Watson back on October 22nd. That was of all the players we've talked about here. that you guys did not draft. That was one of them. And obviously Brissett was another one that you had picked up.
Yes.
That had to be early.
That was late.
Oh, that was late.
Really
Okay.
late.
Oh yeah. November 19th. Okay, I see it now. So you get Jacoby Brissett. I'm interested in, and this is a little bit off topic, Alan, looking at these transactions here. You guys get Watson. You also cut Jaden Reed and you cut Luke Musgrave. So why do you hate the Packers? No, I'm just kidding. But why? but was there a reason? I mean, was it because of the rise of Watson that you felt Musgrave and Reed were expendable and they just were not going to help you on your roster in the championship round as much as, Jacoby Brissett or Colby Parkinson would?
Yeah, I mean, Musgrave we were excited about, but he just didn't do anything for several weeks when he got in there. We're kind of expecting a Tucker Kraft. Maybe he's not going to replicate Tucker Kraft, but be a mini Tucker Kraft, and he just wasn't. And so Parkinson was sitting there and getting a more steady flow from Stafford. So that was that one. Jaden Reed, he's one of my favorites, and I think I have him in every other league that I'm in. But I want to say we had to make room for somebody. I can't remember who we picked up for Reed, but we just
that was Brissett. That was Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, we needed week 14 bye week with Drake May on bye week 14. We needed a week 14 quarterback, and that's where Brissett came into play.
I want to get back to the Panthers here and Bill Hollywood's question. If I can find it here, I'm going to throw it up on the screen so we can talk about it. Was Hubbard and Pollard that he was asking about. Hey, here we go. Bill Hollywood, can we chat about Hubbard and Pollard tonight a little? Thanks, guys. So I'll bring this up right away. Chris, I'll throw this one to you first. Panthers were on bye this past week. Obviously, they didn't play. The last we saw of Carolina was Rico Dowdle kind of taking a back seat to Chuba Hubbard. Dave Canales actually was asked about this after the game, and he said Dowdle is going to remain the team's primary early down running back. However, Canales did say he liked the balance between the two players in week 13 when they beat the Rams. So obviously there's, part of the recipe to winning. 18 carries for Dowdle, 17 carries for Hubbard. And Hubbard also ran 15 pass routes. Dowdle only ran 6. Oh, wow. Canales talked about, some of this being third down issues of the disparity with the pass catching or whatever. But if to talk about Hubbard here, I think that this is interesting because I've listened to a lot of people and read what a lot of people have had to say about this over the course of the last week or so. And it's polarizing. There are some people that believe that this is flipping back to Hubbard because of the money they paid him in the offseason. Right. The fact that Dowdle wasn't making a whole lot, and maybe this is Hubbard finally being healthy for the first time, where he was maybe playing through some soreness and coming back from that injury too soon. I've heard that school of thought. I've also heard that Dowdle was the electric guy here. He has been the guy that has put up the monster spike week numbers between these two running backs, and he is going to go back to being the guy. This was just a one-off. Where do you fall in on this? Hubbard versus Dowdle. Are they both startable this week? And if they are, which one would you like better? Carolina, just to bring it up right now, the Panthers have a really good matchup in New Orleans this weekend.
Yeah, it's a great matchup. And you're seeing, to the dismay of, some of those fantasy players is, you're having the coaches, you got two really good, solid players. Yeah. One may be hot, one may be cold, but if they're really hot, to me, you play the hot guys. And if you're trying to, mix and match and get the best matchup out there in any given play, whether it's first down, third down, or, whatever it may be, passing play. I know they're mixing it up, which makes it kind of tough, obviously, for fantasy players, but go with what's hot. And those guys have been playing really, really well, and they got a great matchup. So either one of those can give you some really good fantasy points, because you're seeing it on Chicago, you see it definitely on Detroit and other teams that are using those, that lightning, whatever you want to call it, where, the change of pace folks. And it's effective, and it could be very effective. Granted, some weeks, depending on the matchups, they may not do well. But I think this is a really good matchup where I think you can really do well with either one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it from the standpoint of okay, these guys are probably going to be splitting time in the backfield.
Yes.
But it's the pie is so big, right? That
absolutely is.
I do like Dowdle better this week, but I think Hubbard is flexible.
Absolutely, sure. Yes.
Alan, flipping it over to the Tony Pollard conversation. One of the things that really caught me off guard last week when I was watching the games. And I wasn't, be honest with you, the Titans-Cleveland game did not hold much interest for me, so I wasn't really paying attention. And then I find out after the game, Cleveland's got a really good rush defense. They got a really good defense in general. And, of course, Tony Pollard against said tough defense, 25 carries, 161 yards, and 2 touchdowns in Tennessee's victory over Cleveland. This was a new career high on the ground for Pollard. Now, granted, the two touchdowns, they weren't like 1-yard plunges. It was a 65-yarder and a 32-yarder. So obviously those two big plays kind of made his week. And the offense, the passing offense, again, just wasn't really there for Cam Ward. So this was all about Pollard. Tyjae Spears, 10 touches, for 47 yards. He didn't get in the end zone. To me, this screams like one-off. I don't think that this is a very repeatable thing, considering you're going up against San Francisco this week. But I will say that if you do have Pollard and you're somehow in the thick of it, the FFPC Championship round or Big Gorilla Championship round, Alan, I think Pollard's an interesting start this week against San Francisco, given what he did this past week.
Yeah, I agree with you that I feel like it's a one-off. It's not a great matchup. Game script might have you, 49ers up in this one. So I would lean Hubbard over Pollard, just truly based on matchups. Hubbard playing against the Saints, you would expect that game script to be better for the Panthers. So I just think the Pollard thing last week was a one-off, and tough to count on that at this stage in fantasy football.
I want to go with, it's ironic, guys, that you guys are making your first appearance back on the FFPC airwaves here in 5 years, because 5 years ago was the last time that Phillip Rivers played an NFL game. And now here we are in 2025, and he's on the Colts practice squad. Mind blown. Alan, let's say it is Rivers throwing. Let's say they sign with the active roster. He's the starting quarterback. He's playing in this offense the same offense he's played in for years, so he knows it. He's familiar with Shane Steichen. And by the way, Jim Bob Cooter is his offensive coordinator. He is older than both his head coach and his offensive coordinator, which is, this is crazy. If it is Rivers starting, do you do anything different than what you were going to do with guys like Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Tyler Warren, who's the other guy? Josh Downs. Do you do anything different with those players than you would had it been Daniel Jones or even Riley Leonard or somebody like that?
I still just can't believe Rivers is going to start. If he does, I'm sitting everybody. Maybe Tyler Warren can survive, get a lot of underneath stuff. But man, I'm looking for other options in terms of pass catchers if I've got those Colts other than Tyler Warren.
Ian Rappaport, a couple hours before we went on tonight, said that Rivers has a very real chance to start against the Seahawks, and it's against the Seahawks this week, which is not a good matchup for opposing quarterbacks. And how do you feel if you're Brett Rippon, right? You're already on this roster, and they're signing some 44-year-old grandfather, by the way.
Yeah,
Rivers. Congratulations to him being a grandfather. Be the second grandfather, I think, the second grandfather to play in the NFL after Brett Favre. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but just crazy that this is what we're talking about here.
I'm feeling good about our Seahawks defense, though.
Oh, absolutely. It should be. No question. Did you guys, Alan, I'm looking at the team right now. You have 3 defenses on this Houston, Seattle, and the Rams. They're all really, really good. Some would say, well, do you really need 3? But you guys felt like you needed 3. Why was that?
Yeah, we looked at the future schedule, and we intentionally lined up 3 defenses that were good with the schedule coming up. And normally I don't think we've been very successful at playing the defensive matchups, but man, the Seattle defense, I'm pretty sure the Seattle defense caused us to win our matchup 2 weeks ago in the semifinals.
So Seattle could be playing Phillip Rivers, right?
Yes.
And then in week 16, you have the Texans at home against the Raiders, which is obviously a great matchup.
That's a good one,
And then week 17, I'm assuming you guys are thinking about deploying the Rams against the Falcons, who basically have nothing to play for.
Mhm.
So yeah, I guess it makes perfect sense. You really have the Avengers assembling here as far as their defenses go for the remainder of the season. Chris,
Yes.
Higgins probably not going to be playing this next game with the concussion issues. Who's your favorite pass catcher to play, or is there any in this game? If I take Jamar Chase and Chase Brown out of it,
Sure.
you got Yoshivas, you got Mike Gesicki, you got Tinsley. Am I getting that name right? Mitchell? Is it Mitchell Tinsley? I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Well, all these other guys. Is there anybody worth a start there with no T. Higgins?
Oh, sure. I mean, I think Oshabash is going to do really well. And then one of the main things is, Burrow is back. When Burrow's back, you're looking at 30, 40, attempts, if not more, 3-4 touchdowns. He's going to throw it far. He's going to bomb it out. He's just not, he's just not going to, hand it off all the time. So I think Oshabash has a good opportunity to take some of T. Higgins' targets this week. Burrow, he's going to come back and be a baller. He's just not going to, sit back and just, play it safe. I think he's going to go hard. And I think if he's going to go hard, he's going to go use Oshabash.
And what's crazy about that, too, is the Bengals technically are not eliminated because of that weird AFC North chase. You have first place Pittsburgh at 7-6. The Bengals are 4-9. And then if they win this week, they will move to 5-9. Pittsburgh is playing.
We got Miami.
Miami, okay.
Yeah.
And that game is in Pittsburgh. Oh, that's a Monday Night Football game. So if Pittsburgh were to lose, Cleveland were to win, or Cincinnati were to win, then they're within 2 games, and they are 1 game behind the Ravens because they would be beating them.
Exactly. Absolutely. I mean, anything now could happen in NFL if you have Phillip Rivers coming back to play quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
Come on,
as Kramer from Seinfeld would say, we must be at the nexus of the universe.
Exactly.
In fantasy football, just crazy. Okay, Alan, the pass catchers could be, this is an interesting situation in Tampa too, because Tampa could get back Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan this week, which is going to gum up the works for K-Dot and Chris Godwin and Emeka Egbuka. And then the other monkey wrench in this too is Baker Mayfield is playing hurt, and he's not been playing well. I think the established the run guys, Levitan and Silva, were talking about this. It's been like a month and a half, 2 months where Mayfield is just not looked right. He has not looked good. So now you throw in these other peppers into the gumbo of 2 more receivers potentially coming back for Tampa this week from injury. I wonder if you could feel good about starting any of these guys. And even the guys who have been playing, it's not like Godwin and Egbuka have been lighting the world on fire. Even Egbuka, too, who just came out like gangbusters, has really slowed down. I just wonder about, even though they got this good matchup on Thursday Night Football against Atlanta, this is kind of a head-scratching situation on which Buccaneers pass catchers to play.
Yeah, this is where I'm going to go with that gut of mine and tell you Baker's due. I'm going to say Baker's going to have a good game this week. And so I trust Egbuka and I trust Godwin in this game. I really think Baker's due and is going to come out and be much better than he has been the last few weeks.
Mayfield, beg your pardon, the Buccaneers, this is a 44.5 point total on this game. It opened at 47.5 and it's fallen quite a bit. That's a little bizarre. But yeah, I mean, this could be one. And, Mayfield strikes me as the type of guy that really thrives on these island games, like on national TV where they're the only game in town. And like, he just seems to rise to the occasion in that. So honestly, if he throws for 180 yards, a touchdown and 2 picks, or if he throws for 350 yards and 4 touchdowns, I don't think either one of those outcomes would shock me. They might surprise me, but they're definitely not going to shock me with this guy. There's just this wide range of outcomes, and I could easily see him crushing it against Atlanta, who basically has nothing to play for at this point too.
Yep.
Okay, RJ Harvey here, Chris.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
This is a player that has really come on over the course of, basically since J.K. Dobbins went down and he got placed on IR. RJ Harvey has had the opportunity to really make some waves. He's had to fight off guys like Tyler Bidet, Jaleel McLaughlin, who have been horning in on his territory. This past week, granted, this is a pretty good matchup against the Raiders. 17 carries, 74 yards, and a touchdown. He also caught 6 balls. for 25 yards in this game too. And he was the offense. Like this is how Denver scored. This is how they move the football. It is a tough matchup against the Green Bay rush defense this Sunday, but that game is in Mile High in a vacuum. And I know this depends on what your team specifically looks like. And I'm speaking to all the viewers.
Right.
Is he better off on most fantasy benches or in most fantasy lineups this week against Green Bay?
I would think he'd be in. I'd play him, just considering what his growth has been. I mean, obviously he didn't start off, lighting the field on fire, but now he has an opportunity. Now with Dobbins hurt, it's him now. And if Peyton plays him like Alvin Kamara, let's say what he did with him, where it was passing, it was running, you could get a really good, good guy here. You could really get you some points. I know Green Bay has a really tough defense, but they're allowing almost 18 points a game for running backs. That's still 18 points is some good points. And really just, looking at Harvey, he's probably get most of those touches and the catches. So I think he's a good play, even though Green Bay is a tough defense. But he's going to get a lot of playing time.
It's one of those things where it's like the way he's been playing, he is such a tough sit. Now, I would say this, if he was on a team like your main event team, guys, then I think you can make the case like, yeah, we got to play Gibbs over. We got to play Javonte. We got to play all these other guys over.
Yeah.
And there could be teams like that out there. But I think by and large, even with the and I'll say this about Green Bay's rush defense too. They lost Devontae Wyatt the Thanksgiving Day game. And that guy, now I don't think the Bears, I don't think what happened against the Bears is a good example of what's going to come for this Packers rush defense. Because by and large, when Wyatt has been hurt over the last 2 seasons in Green Bay, you can run on him. You can run up the gut on him, and they've had real difficult time stopping it. Now, I thought it was going to be a bloodbath against the Bears this past week because the Bears were coming off that game against the Eagles on Black Friday, running on Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. Both those guys had 120-plus rushing yards, Monangai and Swift. Exactly. And I thought they were just going to destroy Green Bay, and they did it. Which then it kind of gave me pause, like, okay, well, maybe they can slow down these ground games. But Harvey catching the 6 balls, I mean, if he would have caught no passes or anything like that, then I think we can have a real conversation. But the fact he was so involved in that passing game,
agreed.
I think that happens again here.
And that's the differentiator,
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
I think like we might even talk back about this 5 years ago. We love pass catching running backs in fantasy football. Like we can't get enough of them. Oftentimes when I'm drafting my second running back, again, dependent upon team construction, I'm looking to see who it's like, who the pass catchers are for running backs. And I almost always default to them because it's like a rushing quarterback, like a quarterback who gets yardage with his legs. Okay, moving on here to what are we talking about next? Marvin Harrison and Michael Wilson, Alan. They're already, these guys in the chat room have been talking about next year's drafting. So I figure we'll bring this up right now. And this not only is a question about next year, Alan, it's also a question about what we foresee happening for the remainder of the season of 2025. Who do you think is going to be drafted higher in fantasy drafts next year with the FFPC? Will it be Marvin Harrison or will it be Michael Wilson?
I mean, I look at Wilson's games. He's had 3 monster games this year. I think it's weeks 11, 12, and 14. And all 3 of those weeks, Harrison didn't play. So I think his blow-up games are more a result of, Harrison not being there. Mm-hmm. And when Harrison's playing, that doesn't happen. And so I go with the talent. I go with the talent of Harrison. I still believe in his talent. So I would be drafting Harrison ahead of Wilson. Wilson has looked really good, so I think he's moved up boards.
Yeah.
But I still got to believe Harrison goes ahead of Wilson. Maybe it's a 4th round versus 6th round situation.
It reminds me of the old Kurt Warner, Larry Fitzgerald, Anquan Bolden passing triangle that Arizona had a few years back. And it's a little bit different this time because, Bolden and Fitz had the draft pedigree. Warner had the MVP pedigree, right? Brissett's just been kind of like this, backup journeyman quarterback, kind of, gun for hire. Michael Wilson, I think, this is what, his 4th year in the league or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
So we're seeing a weird year to break out for him. But to Alan, to your point, I mean, he is blowing up when Harrison's not in there. So seeing these guys out there together, I think, will be the true test. And if I'm an offensive coordinator, I mean, I for Arizona, I'm probably scheming more stuff for Harrison than I am for Wilson. But Wilson's been hot too. You can't take away. Okay, so much fun tonight, guys. By the way, Scott Hoyt is a big fan of your take on Marvin Harrison, Alan, which I think you're spot on with that. Let's talk about. Normally, I ask this final question is a question about who are you picking up on the waiver wire or who are you dropping. It's closed now, so we don't have to talk about that. But I do want, because sometimes I think we put all that energy that we normally put into the waiver wire on Wednesdays, that gets transformed into really grinding these lineups and really, really taking a hard look at them and making sure we have the right guys in there. So I'll focus this question on that specific thing. Chris, I'm going to ask you this question first.
Sure.
Is there a sneaky start, not necessarily on any of your FFPC teams, but is there a sneaky start out there that you think not a lot of people in the main event and Big Gorilla are going to start that probably should be? And then conversely, is there a stud out there? Like I look at Justin Jefferson, and maybe I'm sorry if I'm taking one of your players here.
That's all right.
I think about Justin Jefferson, where you've been rolling with him, and God bless you if you made it into the championship round. Justin Jefferson as your first round pick, but you look at what he's been doing or not been doing: 2 for 11, 2 for 4, 4 for 48. He's a guy you have to have that conversation about coming into week 15. So conversely, is there a player like that, and then a player that should be in lineups? I'll let you take it away here first, Chris.
Yeah, sure, no problem. So I think my I guess the stud of the week, as we would say, I think Brian Flournoy of Dallas. CeeDee Lamb got another concussion. He's out. When he was out last week, he flourished in that offense, and I think he will continue to do that as well. I mean, 13 targets? I mean, it was a career high. Not to say he's going to get 13 again, but he did really well, and he has another good, favorable matchup with Minnesota. So I think he's my the stud play of the week. And plus, he's one of those folks that are kind of off the radar. Yeah, he's probably on most folks either bench or certainly he's on waiver still. So that's someone who I think would be really good. He can just come in and he's going to do really well, because it's been proven before when CD was hurt. Who did well last time? It was Pickens, and we benefited that on our team. So I think now with Flournoy doing very well, there's just another option there. In terms of the stud to sit, now granted he hasn't been a stud all season, but past couple of games, Jacoby Brissett has just been amazing with the amount of points that he has scored, and I would love to play him again this week. Not necessarily in a fantasy football team this on our FFPC, but maybe in other ones. But he's playing a Houston team defense that is just destroying offenses. They're just as great as it gets when it comes to defense. So he's a guy who's been a stud, and got to sit him, because I think he's just going to not do very well no matter what he does. I think it's going to be one of those really tough games. It's probably a tough game for Wilson as well, and for Harrison if he's back.
Just going back to the Flournoy thing, you kind of touched on this, but I'm just going to hit it home right now. For anybody who thought it was a one-off with Flournoy this past week, he ends up with 9 for 115. And a touchdown, as you said, Chris, on 13 targets. If we go back to week 5, they were on the road against the Jets. And remember, the Jets' problem was not necessarily their defense. Like, their defense was all right. And in that game, he saw 9 targets, caught 6 of them for 114 yards. And that game, no CeeDee Lamb. And there could be I know Jerry Jones said last week or Schottenheimer, I think, said that Lamb is progressing through the concussion protocol, so he could play. I don't know if he would, but certainly if he doesn't, Flournoy is going to look really tasty as a flex. For
Absolutely, sure. Agreed, Eric.
Alan, what do you think? A sneaky start and a player that we should think long and hard before we start him in our lineups this week.
Yeah, I mean, I'm digging sort of deep. I think Florida was pretty deep, but I'm going to go Ricky Pearsall. I think Pearsall is just starting to get healthy. I know he's been back for a few games, but hasn't been doing much. He's got a nice matchup with Tennessee, and so I'm expecting Pearsall to have his best game.
Pearsall is, and he's been such a frustrating player this season because when he's right, he's really good, and I've been excited. I was excited to draft him this year, given how late that you could get him in drafts. And then when you're coming off the bye here, hopefully to get a little bit more rest, and maybe this is going to be, like, to your point, Alan, is it the week where he steps forward and really makes a statement game in what would be really good for anybody who is sort of playing the edges in the championship round where they're trying to gain that edge. Maybe Pearsall's that edge this week.
Yeah.
Is there a player that you? I mean, we kind of touched on a few of them here, but is there any other ones that we should know about? Before we just automatically start them, maybe we want to think once or twice before we put in that player in our starting lineup.
I'd be worried about starting Christian Watson this week. I know he's been hot lately, but I think going up against Denver, this could be one of those games where he doesn't do much at all and sort of reminds us of his inconsistency.
Yes. Yeah, I think in regards to that, you have a situation, and I don't know. Do you guys even know? I don't even know if does Patrick Surtain travel with opposing teams number ones?
I thought he does.
Okay. And maybe he does, and maybe the Broncos, maybe they wouldn't even deem him as a number one. Like no, we're not going to send Surtain traveling with Watson. I mean, the thing is, for as good as Watson has been lately, dude had 4 targets last week. 4. Now he caught all of them, and 2 of them went for touchdowns, but he only saw 4 targets. Mm-hmm. And what's crazy about that is that was tied for tops on the team. Nobody for Green Bay had more than 4 targets last week. And then you throw the Jaden Reed aspect into this too. And maybe you can maybe the Surtain thing isn't even as important as the fact that Reed is on the field and they'll want to get him the ball more, get him more involved as well. So I'm with you on Watson. I think he's an okay start, but I think you really got to make sure that you don't have a better option on your bench, especially if you're trying to, make leaps and bounds up the leaderboard in the main event championship round and the Big Gorilla championship round. This is something you got to get right. You guys have a long week in front of you with all this talent that you have on your main event. I mean, I don't even know how these conversations are going to go, trying to shoehorn in all these great players that you have on your bench. It's certainly a testament to how good you guys are at drafting. This is a juggernaut that you've put together. And it is, 4 dozen teams short of first place right now. 3 weeks is a lot of football, and there'll be a lot of tough decisions. I know you guys will handle it well. And I thank you so much for coming on the show tonight to talk about it, to break stuff down, to help us all out with our Week 15 lineups. I wish you nothing but the best. And if you guys end up cashing that $1 million check, best believe you'll be back on this show to tell us all about it and what it was like. So
look forward to it.
Thank you so much. Good luck the rest of the way, guys, and appreciate you spending your time.
Yeah, thank you, Eric. If I can give a shout out to Tony Montana's FFL.
There you go, Tony Montana's FFL getting a shout out tonight,
and our son's sleep 12-man Dynasty League too.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. We love the shout outs on the show. We love the shout outs. Great insight tonight, guys. Best of luck to all of you.
Thank you, Eric.
Excuse me, and we'll talk again soon.
Sounds great.
All right, you got it. That is Alan Martirossian and Chris Ondrus, 52nd place overall in the FFPC main event right now as we head into week 1 of the championship round sprint. Going to be a good one. Fun time of year. Going to be maddening. Going to be exciting. Going to be thrilling. Going to be demoralizing. Going to be heartbreaking. Going to be gut-wrenching. It's all those things. It's why we love it so much. And we can't help but you think back to drafting season, like this is what it's all about. If you're in the championship round, you have a shot at winning some life-changing money here. And certainly I wish not only Chris and Alan best of luck, but if you are watching tonight and you are in those specific situations, I wish you the best of luck as well. That is going to complete our show tonight. Before we get out of here, a few announcements, including some programming coming up later on this week. Number one, FFPC Weekly Challenge is live. No draft, no salary cap. Just pick 10 players, 1 player per NFL team. Win up to $2,500. 10, 30, and 100 team contest. MyFFPC.com is where to go. That is also where you can go to register for the FFPC World Famous Playoff Challenge. That's going to get underway here after the regular season ends. But get your teams in now. We always encourage just getting those entries in, so you have them once the player pool is populated with all those playoff teams. You can monkey around and figure out, tweak it and twist it and do whatever you want to do, but make sure you get your entries in now. You can register for that at myffpc.com, myffpc.com. Remember, you can enter the $35 one, win $100K. You can enter the $200 one, the OG, and win $500,000. So still a chance to win $500,000 this professional football season. I want to remind everybody, Farrell and I will be live on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour this Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We're going to have on a guest. We'll chop it up. We'll get you set to make your final touches on your lineups prior to the launch of Week 15 proper on Sunday afternoon. Thursday night, we're going to be doing more of the same, and we're going to watch a little bit of that Buccaneers-Falcons game live. Your 2-screen experience will include the FFPC Insider Access Show on the Better Sports Network with yours truly. My guest co-host this week is Established the Runs, John Daigle. Always appreciate it when he can make some time and come on the show. A lot of great insight from him, and we'll have some fun. 2 full hours starting at 7 o'clock Thursday night. And then we have a special episode of the Three Goombas podcast, which I think this is the first time. I don't know if we've ever named it officially, but we have graphics now to prove it. Tomorrow night at 10 p.m. I think it's 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm gonna double check the time on this. But it'll be on the FFPC YouTube, FFPC socials, X, Facebook, everything. It's gonna go live, beg your pardon, at 9:30 Eastern time tomorrow night, 9:30. It is going to be the Three Goombas podcast championship sprint preview and season review roundtable. Your hosts will be Aiden LaCorey, of course, Jake Venuti, and Dave Tripoli. Special guest, Steven Yergalos, and Steve G is going to bring on, I believe he's going to bring on a couple of extra surprise guests on the show tomorrow. So that is going to be live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow, right where you're watching this now. That's where it'll be as well. That's going to be a fun one. So stick around and check that out tomorrow night. This show will be back next Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern time as we help you get set for Week 16. The meat of the championship round sprint sandwich will go live at 10 p.m. Next Tuesday as well. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, comment, get notified each and every time we go live, which will be tomorrow night, 9:30. The Three Goombas take over the FFPC airwaves, 9:30 p.m. tomorrow night. See you then. Thanks so much for watching, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening.
Thank you for listening to the High Stakes Lowdown, a RotoViz podcast brought to you by the Fantasy Football Players Championship. And thanks to Grapes for our theme music. Please review the podcast on Apple Podcasts under the RotoViz radio feed. It helps us find new listeners. Contact us via email at rotovizradio@gmail.com. We'd love to hear what you think and connect with us on X at RotoVizRadio. Remember, you can always support the show by subscribing to RotoViz at a 10% discount using the code RVRadio2025. That's RVRADIO2025 through the NFL Podcast homepage at rotoviz.com/podcast.